Hello, this is going to be a really quick tutorial on how to put some of these inner center edges and corners and whatever else you need on a 10 by 10 and on an 11 by 11. The procedure for both of these puzzles are relatively the same. The only thing that we really need to do is have your screwdriver ready, because we're going to have to take apart the puzzle slightly to put pieces in and out of the puzzle. So to get things started, I've already put a little bit of tape here. So I'm going to take this tape off so I can kind of explain what I'm doing here. Let's say that the pieces that we need to take out are from this top row of centers, right? And let's say that it's on the right side of the cube, so these four. What we need to do is loosen up the top and loosen the side that we need to remove that top four from. I've already done this on this cube, but what you can do is you can access those screws right through the center of the centermost pieces right here and the centermost pieces right there. Now, when we loosen it, we don't want to loosen it significantly that the entire thing falls apart, just enough that there's enough play for us to remove some of the pieces, some of these outer pieces, so we can access those inner pieces. So here, you can kind of check, that's a lot of play. This side, that's a good amount of play as well. From here, I'm actually going to go ahead and take some tape. And I'm going to tape up some of the pieces that we don't want moving once we take out, let's say, these four edges right here. All right, so we're going to tape that up. On an 11 by 11, it's the same thing, except this time the screw is hidden underneath the cap. So we would want to uncap that. It will reveal a screw here, and it will reveal a screw on this side as well. We just want to loosen those up so we can access the center edges that we need to replace or remove from the puzzle. We'll go ahead and cap that back. So back to this 10 by 10, let's say we want to remove these four pieces and replace them, right? From here, I've already loosened up the top and the right side. We're going to turn the cube slightly like this. We're just going to take our thumb and put it underneath here. In fact, you should be able to actually go ahead and remove some of these pieces, but to play it safe, I want to remove these pieces, because if we try to jam them back in later, you could break even more pieces. If there's enough play, these guys should kind of just slip out the side like this. You can see that they're hooked, so they're going to hook around each other like this. So we want to do the opposite hooking motion to try to get them back out. So let's say, again, I want to do these four. I'm going to try to remove two more of these edges from the right side here. And if it's on the left side, all we want to do is just loosen up the left side instead of the right side. So here we use some tape to kind of prevent these pieces from falling down, right? In fact, if you want to prevent these pieces from coming back up, like let's say we just want to replace those four, you can also apply tape onto here as well. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and do that to prevent some mishaps. We're just going to put some tape right here because we just want these four pieces to come out like that. So we can just slowly pull these pieces out and then replace them as necessary. All right, so now I've gone ahead and removed those four pieces. Now we have this gap over here. Now we want to replace them. We're going to start off with the smallest of the pieces, like that. Next is the second smallest of those pieces, and you can see that they're going to hook into each other like the edges, and they all hook onto this large white internal piece in the inside. Here again, one more. And we don't want to apply a lot of force. These guys should just kind of sit into each other very carefully, like that. And here's that last piece. Now this one might be a little bit harder because it's very, very long, but what you can do is just kind of stretch it out, make a little bit of room, and then just let it kind of come back together like that. From here, we want to go ahead and put in our edge pieces that we took out. We're going to start off with a smaller one. Again, these guys are hooked. They're going to hook underneath here. We're going to just try to do it like that. So that didn't hook. Just want to make sure that they hook. Now what you can do is turn it slightly. This will allow for a little bit more play and make this a lot easier to put in. Third piece, and then our last piece. So we did loosen it, so there's a lot of play here, and that's important to make this a lot easier to kind of put in. You see that edge popped out? That's no problem. So we put their edges back in. An easy way to put these guys in without even trying to remove those is you can try to slip it in between the gaps during these like half turns that you're doing. So let's say that this was, I'll put some tape over here and try to remove that. Just another alternate way to do it. You can see that because I've loosened up this side, there's a lot of play here. And what you can do is you can actually try to just hook this piece underneath here. The reason we don't like doing this is because if you try to kind of press it in, you're going to snap that piece because it's not hooking properly into that large internal piece in the back. But if you know what you're doing, you can totally get away with doing it like this as well. All right, from here, we just want to go ahead and loosen up the sides that we, or not loosen, tighten up the sides that we loosened. So here I loosened up this side. I'm just gonna go ahead and tighten that back up. And this side, I'm gonna go ahead and tighten this back up as well. So that's how you do it on 10 by 10. So let's say we're doing it in an 11 by 11. It's the exact same procedure, except this time the screws are hidden beneath the centermost caps. So I'm gonna go ahead and loosen this side up. Again, not so much that the entire thing falls apart. And loosen this side. Again, not all the way, we don't want the entire thing falling apart, just enough so there's a lot of play here. Turn it slightly. We're gonna remove a few of those edges. And again, use some tape if you're not comfortable. In fact, there's a lot of moving pieces here. I am going to use tape just to make my life easier and prevent those from falling down once we do it. So here, we're gonna go ahead and just remove a couple of these. Okay, just keep very carefully, like that, and like that. So here, instead of a kind of like that large white internal piece, we have a colored piece. So these pieces will actually hook onto this next colored piece as well. So if we look down the line, we just wanna make sure we don't remove this because this is holding the thing together. So here, we can go ahead and remove these 4 pieces as needed. And we can also just put them back in as needed. Same thing as the 10 by 10. And again, if it's on the left side, we would just loosen up this side and the left side instead of the right side, like that. From here, again, we're just gonna go and put it in order. And so instead of a white piece, we have this white-green piece because it's a colored on the exterior. Slowly putting them in like this. And the next smallest piece. The second to largest piece. Again, if you're having troubles pushing it in, turn it at an angle to allow a little bit more play. Okay, I'm gonna lift this up a little bit, try to introduce that gap where I can kind of squeeze this in. You might kind of, if you're having trouble with this part, you can take a screwdriver and just try to help guide it underneath where it needs to kind of lock into place. So here I have this edge should taped up a little bit more there. That's no problem. There we go. So that's in. This guy's kind of come off a little bit. And I'll show you that you can also put that in without taking these edges out, like that. And then your last largest one. So if you're careful and you actually tape up everything and not just the pieces that might fall down, these small internals, or not small internals, these small edges coming off the sides shouldn't happen. So here, it's not sitting properly. You kind of just want to guide it to where it would sit properly like that. So here, a piece popped out. This wouldn't happen if you actually taped up the entire top, but I was being a little bit conservative with my tape here and only taped up what would fall down once you remove these. But for this one, again, you can just turn the side slightly, introduce a gap, and then put your piece into that gap, making sure that it hooks properly into the cube. If it doesn't hook properly, and you try and just press it in there, it is going to break. So there it is properly inserted. We're just gonna go ahead and tighten up the puzzle because we loosened it. And that is how you would put these small internals or small inner edges on a 10 by 10 and an 11 by 11. This will work with pretty much any larger cube. You just kind of have to know how the cube is structured a little bit. Hope that helps.